And if anyone is listening that doesn't have a launch pack, you have to do that. Like I can, so much of my business has come from people getting excited about their brand new site, me sending them Instagram and LinkedIn graphics of their new site, like full page, like looks of it, plus like a picture of like a nice headshot of them with like the website in front, like scrolling through video. Like they love that. And then I have here's a caption that you could put in on it. And in that caption is, this was done when I worked with Kristen at Crash Design Co. This is the thing. These are the things we talked about. So I'm already in there. And if they want to delete it, they can delete it. But most people don't. Most people want the easy button. They copy, they paste, I'm tagged.
Welcome to the Web Design Business Podcast with your host, Josh Hall, helping you build a web design business that gives you freedom and a lifestyle you love.
Hello, friend. Good to have you here for this episode where we are going to have an absolutely awesome time together talking to Kristin Adkins, who is a repeat guest on the podcast. Kristen was actually on back in episode 143, just after she had went full-time in her business. But now, nearly 5 years later, I wanted to catch up with her because Kristen is now a member of my community, Web Designer Pro. We've got to reconnect, and I'm seeing what she's up to now. And she is an absolute shining example of how to do things right. Her business has grown tremendously in the past 5 years. She has really dialed in her niche. But I think most importantly, she's just loving life. And 5 years in, that's not the easiest thing to do when you're building and growing your web design business and becoming a true business owner. But she has a lot of value and wisdom to share that we dive into this one. Everything from how she nailed and really dialed in her niche as the website designer for speakers, how she's now hiring and scaling, how she's building a referral network, how she's raised her rates over the past couple of years, how she has continued to stick with the tools that are in her tool stack and avoiding shiny object syndrome. And most importantly, do not miss this one, the value of website launch packs and how that's getting her more clients. We're going to dive into all that and more. Speaking of website launch packs, wouldn't it be cool to see what she's doing and to see her process and to see what she sends clients? Well, you can get a glimpse of that if you join Web Designer Pro, because Kristen this summer in 2025 is actually going to be doing a special guest training. More details on that, coming soon. But for now, here is Kristen to dive into everything that she's learned and what she's doing to be 5 years in and thriving. You can go to her website, which is crashdesign.co, to check things out. And all of the links we mentioned will be at the show notes for this one at joshhall.co/375. Let's rock and roll, my friends. It is a dang pleasure to have you back on the show. So good to catch up and chat. So much to talk about. There's not an exact topic that, we're going to dive into, but I just wanted to kind of reconnect with you because, you were on in 21. You were on 4 years ago. That was episode 143 with a different name, a different last name then, which is why we both had trouble finding our old episode.
I know, we both were trying to find it.
And we were joking about how Josh Hall is unfortunately the boyfriend of, I think it's Christina Hack, the TV show, the house show. So like
we should have looked this up before we went live.
Oh man. It's just anytime somebody Googles my name, it's mostly that. So anyway, I wanted to catch up because you were at a place the first time we chatted where you were by all intents and purposes a Web Designer Pro. I mean, you weren't a member yet and it wasn't even called Pro back then, but you were in a really like professional trajectory. And then looking, now 4 years later, fast forward, one thing I really appreciate about what I've seen you do is you've stayed so consistent and you've just like refined your craft and you're serving the same audience, but you're doing it like at even a more polished level. I looked at your site today and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, there's just so much we can learn from you. So for all those reasons and more, I'm really pumped to have you back on.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
I have no idea. I mean, let's just talk about that. Like, what has made you stay consistent? Because a lot of web designers, it's really common. We're entrepreneurs at heart. So after a few years, we get the itch to do something different or switch up our niche. What has made you just stay within your niche and stay consistent?
Yeah. Well, the easiest thing is that I love my clients. I get to work with really cool people, and it's so easy to stay consistent when I'm getting referred now. Like I just heard the other day, I was talking to a business friend of mine, and she goes, "Oh," she's like, "I have to tell you, I have a friend who was excited about doing her website, and she said that she can't wait for her business to take off because there's this web designer she really wants to work with, and in the Milwaukee area that works with professional speakers." And my friend goes, "Are you talking about Kristin Adkins?" And I was like, "Yes." And so she told me about that, and I was like, niching down was the best thing I ever did. And I have been screaming that from the rooftops. So how could I go away from that? And again, I love my clients. They are doing really cool things. And it's hard to want to switch away from people who want to change the world. And they're doing that. And I get to help them. And so I adore it. I love my niche, and it's really easy to get really good at something if you're doing it over and over and over again. And so I found that to be very helpful when it comes to growing my business and my processes and all of that.
We talked a little bit about this, if I remember right, from our first convo. That topic was more about going full time.
Yeah.
Because you were at that place in your business and your journey. But I am curious, when you landed on this niche, I mean, this is such a hot topic nowadays. And I'm always leery about people who are trying to find a niche, because I'm like, make sure you love it. And you are your case, your 101 for why you should love your niche and love the people who are in that type of niche. What made you choose the thought leader and speaker route? Remind me of how you landed there.
Yeah. And it was about the last time that we had a conversation. It was pretty soon, or pretty recently before that I had said, this is what I was going to do.
Right.
Mine was when I went full time, I knew I wanted to niche down, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I hadn't worked with a lot of clients yet, but I had 2 coaches back to back. And then the second coach was so much easier to work with because I was asking the right questions. I already knew some of the problems she was having and the pain points. And so we got to go much deeper into our conversations right away because I'd already worked with someone very similar to her. And then after those 2, I was like, okay, so now I know the power of niching down. Do I want to work with coaches? And I was like, I don't actually know any more coaches that. I kind of that was it. And I thought about who in my professional network I knew. And in my previous career, I'd worked with a lot of professional speakers because I used to hire them for conferences and conventions. And I saw firsthand that people's websites got them the job or lost them that. And so I was like, wait a minute, I know exactly which problem I need to solve. I was a part of this. And so that has been a story that I tell all the time is I used to hire you. I know what meeting planners are looking for because I used to be that person. I'm going to make you a website that would make me want to hire you. And that has kind of been the thing that got me through niching down. And I already knew some speakers that I had worked with, and I reached out to them and I'm like, I don't know if you want a new website or anything, but can I just talk to you about this thing? And it was just audience research has helped me. And I just recently in the past 2 months did more audience research that we talked about in our first conversation. It was questions of just, open-ended questions, what they want, what they need. And when it comes to their website, I just did another round of that 2 months ago and learned even more. And so, yeah, I just started with reaching out to my connections, and then they said, I know somebody that needs to know you. And then it kind of spiraled through there.
Well, and the cool thing about your niche, as it were, is it is broad enough to where it's not hyper, it's not a super small market. I mean, your website is clearly stated for speakers and coaches. And as we know, that could branch you out to a lot of different industries. Although I imagine it does take you away from brick and mortar shops or hair salons, stuff where you may get some local business, but this is consultants, coaches, and speakers are in different industries. So was that intentional? Did you think about making sure you didn't go too hyper niche to where you're a big fish in a small pond kind of thing? Since I know you love the lake. How, by the way, are you out on the lake more? I know that was a goal last year.
We are. We have a boat. We bought a boat last year. And so we are out on the boat quite a bit. Can't wait for it to warm up so we can go back out. We're itching for it. So I love that you remember that.
I'm so glad. I was going to ask you about that because as you're on the coaching tier and pro, and I always ask coaching members, what's your goal? And then yours was just vivid as day because you were like, I just want to be on the lake more.
Yep.
I was like, that is a great goal.
Yeah. And so we get to do that. So check mark on that one. But
Awesome.
To go back to the question about niching, yeah, it did. I was worried to niche. I definitely was. And I was like, I don't want to turn away business. But then I did one WooCommerce store and honestly, I hated it. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be easy for me to cut that part out of my business. And then the coaching, and why it says coaching and thought leaders on my website is mainly because I had been approached by a few coaches and they were like, well, I'm not a speaker yet, but I want to be. Could you still work with me? And the answer was always like, absolutely. If you want to be on stages, that's what I'm specializing in, really. And so I have coaches and thought leaders on there, but for the most part, it is just speakers that want to work with me or want to get into that industry. So
what about I'm kind of curious, what about entrepreneurs or business? How far are you willing to bend the constraints on your, who you'll take on?
The thing is, it doesn't help them any bit to work with me if I'm not a specialist in what they do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a part of a big entrepreneurial group and small business owners. And I get approached a lot by people, and I'm not afraid to say no if it's something that I'm not going to be really good at. Because I have my processes, I have how it works, and a lot of my stuff, all the languages saying, what's going to get you on stage? Who's the meeting planner? Who's the person actually hiring you? And then who are in the seats? I have all of these things that I'm asking, which it doesn't make sense to other people. That being said, I have worked with a photographer who was a friend, and it was as a favor. Her husband was in the construction industry, and so I worked with him. And then he started telling people about his website. So I weirdly have this invisible side niche of trades and construction. And that's simply because people have been saying my name. And I was like, well, I can get you a website that's just like theirs. They're like, yes, perfect, great. All right, I guess so. But yeah, when it comes to that, the niching, if I could go even deeper, I totally would. I think if I ever am this is too much, everyone's a little too different, I would go into former professional athletes who want to speak. I'm not that afraid to do that because I've worked with a few and they were my favorite.
Wow, that is interesting. I mean, I would imagine that could even be a hybrid niche of crash design studio. You could do a industry serve, or it could be it wouldn't be industry serve, but it'd be a segment, you could.
Yeah. And it just kind of turns into, they all know each other. That's the other things. A lot of speakers know each other. And so they say my name. A lot of professional athletes who are now doing speaking all kind of know each other as well. And so that's why I've gotten a little bit into that sub niche, I guess I would say. So
hypothetically, if somebody like me was to come to you, entrepreneur, business owner, does virtual speaking, doesn't do in-person conferences as much, but does coaching, but I don't really identify as a coach. Somebody who's not a messy entrepreneur, but just a hodgepodge of all this consultant, coach. I'm sure a lot of your clients check a lot of the boxes.
Oh yeah.
Is that the type of thing where you'd be maybe, or would you try to weed me out?
I think it'd be a case-by-case basis. Josh, I'd build you a website, but I think
personality was an immediate, he's in, but
I wouldn't just be yep, here's the deposit, sign it now. We'd get on a call. I get on about a 45-minute call no matter what before someone's even allowed to give me a deposit, because I want to make sure it's a good fit. And I'm not trying to work with 10 people a month type of thing. I want to work with people I really like and just have my little niche and carve it out.
How are you dealing with inbound now with leads and referrals? Because you are at a very different place 4 years later. I mean, like you said, you have a little bit of flexibility and freedom here for what you could potentially do if you want to drill down further or start to add some constraints. But how are you dealing with the referrals? I mean, I imagine you could spend, at least half a day, all day with calls if you're getting a ton of referrals.
Yeah, I could. And most of my business still is just referrals. I have some clients who have gone really big in the speaking industry, and that brings in quite a bit of people because my name's on the bottom of the website. But I'll get, people coming in once a week, maybe twice a week. And if they're in my industry, let's talk. If they're not, I have people that I'm going to, push them out to. I have some friends that are in the web design industry, some people in pro that I'm okay, hey, here's this person. I think they would be better fit for you. But I don't market so, I don't want to say obnoxiously, but I'm not like I need clients on, LinkedIn or Instagram and hoping people come to me and everything. Like I kind of do more of a natural outreach, I think, when it comes to social media. And that's kind of all part of this visibility that I like to build up.
And your call to action on your contact page is still schedule a call. Well, I'm kind of curious. So you have the option, you can schedule a call or you could fill out the contact form to give a little bit of information on their project. What's the percentage split just roughly between people just going right to a call? Or I imagine, and I found this to be the case, a lot of busy entrepreneurs, thought leaders, coaches, they don't really want to take time for a call unless it's absolutely needed. So how many people are like, I would probably be interested in just sending a form in to get the ball rolling before a call. But you tell me, like, how many people are scheduling a call versus just sending in an initial contact form submission?
I would say about 80% people schedule a call first. And I will say most of the people that fill out the contact form are simply just trying to find my prices. And then half of them don't even show up to a call if I invite them to it. So if you schedule a call, usually you're my people. Also, remember, I work with speakers. They like to talk. They just want to get on a conversation. They're extroverted like that. And so, very rarely does somebody book with me if they fill out my contact form. And I've actually noticed that as like a trend. And so it's been really interesting to watch.
Well, it makes sense too, I guess, with the way you are attracting leads being pretty organic, largely referral based. You are getting quality over quantity as far as leads go as a whole. So it'd be different if you had like a big social media strategy or a paid ads acquisition where you're getting a ton of traffic. I would imagine you would not want the schedule a call option to be out there on the first layer.
Yeah, no, if it ever got like crazy, then I would take that down. But really, it hasn't been a problem.
That's cool. And I mean, like if a referral, one thing I was thinking about too is people who are price shopping or looking at several different agencies or studios, they may not want to have like 10 calls with 10 different web designers. But if, Joe refers Bob because he's a speaker and Joe's like, you got to talk to Kristen, then he's probably going to likely just be wanting to do a call because it's, like you're the one in his mind to do the work for him.
Yeah, most of the time it's that. Or like I'll even get DMs on Instagram or LinkedIn of like, hey, so-and-so said your name. We got to talk. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's chat. Here's my link.
So you talked a little bit about your the questions you ask and prompt. And I remember from our first conversation, it was kind of a light bulb moment for me with the idea of recording those initial calls and using that as website copy and content and getting your client the leads just to talk about their business to help you.
Yeah.
What things, that sounds like you've just refined that over the past 4 years. What's different now? What do you do differently now? Do you have different tools in your toolbox? This is kind of probably a can of worms we could open up, but what's the differences now versus your business, 4 or 5 years ago?
My confidence, first of all, that's for sure. Prices have tripled at least. But for things that I use, so when I said that I had just done another round of like audience interviews and stuff, and I wasn't trying to sell them on anything, that was all because I was building my own GPT so that I can just ask it questions and it's responding as if it was one of my clients. And so I was in a program and the person taught me about this. It was like interview the person, get it transcribed, put it in Chat GPT and make your own custom one. And so now every time I go in there, I'm like asking like, hey, can you act like you are a client on a call? And then go through some objections that you might have. And I'll sit there and like practice what I would say to those objections or be more prepared when somebody is on a real call with me. And so that's one of the big things is now the AI obviously has really evolved since we've talked in 2021. And so that's what I was doing it for, was to have a little bit of fun.
This is a great explanation of how to use AI. That's not like AI is taking over web designers' jobs.
Yeah.
It's like you're a prime example of using it to refine like your perfect offer and how you're talking with clients. How do you practically do that with Chat GPT, by the way? Because I don't know how to like make it its own thing. Is there like a setting to where you can create your own Chat GPT bot?
Yeah. So you have to use the paid version. That's for sure. I got instructions on how to do this. So I know, you have to have a paid version and there's like an option to create your own custom GPT. And so like then if you use ChatGPT a lot, on the left-hand side, I have like 10 million conversations with it. I can start a new one and say, I want to talk to my audience, or I just want to do an open regular GPT, the regular, ChatGPT, OpenAI thing. So yeah, there's like steps. I'm sure it'd be a really quick Google to figure that out. But I was like, I just followed it, and it was, transcribe your conversations. You put them in like on a PDF, and you submit all the documents that would be helpful for this GPT to know. And you can go in and add more. You can tell it instructions before it creates this GPT, and you can say, don't ever use anyone's name in this, because I try to take their names out before during the transcription, because I don't want them to say like, Adam said this. And it's like, no, I don't want that. I want like you to act like you're a person. So just give it instructions. But yeah, I put in like 5 different interviews in there, and it uses their answers to these questions and then creates different ones, because I'm not just re-asking the same questions, but it's really cool to see what it spits out.
Okay. So for people who are more savvy with ChatGPT than I am, they probably already know this, but so you can go just to your profile, and then it says My GPTs, and you can customize it from there. It's really, really cool. It reminds me of what we just opened up with in Pro. Did you see Brock?
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Love the name, by the way. Love the story behind it.
Kids do the best branding, because my daughter was just like, let's call it broccoli. And I was like, all right, we'll roll with that.
Shout out to a kid that's got broccoli on the mind. I mean, you don't hear that often.
Right? Yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't chocolate or like fudge rounds or something.
Right.
Fudgy would have been cool too, but hey, we'll go with Brock. But yeah, it reminds me of that same idea of like, it's just curating answers and coaching based off of, the resources in Pro. So likewise, every web design studio could create, we could create SOPs based off of what we're doing, but you're utilizing it in a really awesome way with like really drilling into that. So that's awesome. That's awesome to hear how you're utilizing AI. What else? I got to ask you about the pricing. You tripled your rates. Did you, was that like a gradual thing, 10, 15%, every quarter, every year? Or did you get to a point where you were like, I'm just going to like double this thing and see what happens? What are the rates?
Yeah, it was that one. I'd started, just kind of like increasing, because I've been told, like one of my like first few clients was like, he's like, I'm gonna tell you that you need to raise your rates. And I was like, oh. And I actually was like, okay, so I'm gonna slowly raise them. And then I had a conversation with somebody. I was having an in-person coffee conversation, which is very rare for me to have with my clients, because usually they're all across the country. But like finally I got a Wisconsin one, and he's a former football player and all this stuff. And so we were having coffee, and he was like, and he asked my prices, and I told him, and he was like, I'm going to act like this is a friends and family discount, and I need you to write this name down. And I'm like, okay. So I like write a name down, and he's like, that's my money coach. I need you to talk to her. He's like, you are not charging enough. And he's like, my friend did this. And he pulled up his website, which was like terrible. Sorry, but it was really, really bad and like didn't really work all that well. And he's like, my friend did this and he charges more than you do. And I was like, oh, so it was like okay, well, and then it was almost double. And this was through my conversations that I had interviewed with people of like, what did you pay for your first website? And everyone's like, first website that they had to do the copy for, they had to do everything for, was like what I was charging. And I'm like, oh, I'm offering so much more. I'm a specialist at this. Like, I kind of needed a little bit of like internal therapy going on of like, we need to raise these rates. And so, yeah, I doubled my rates within the past year, I would say.
Wow.
And this is almost 4 years into this. So I was doing the gradual, and then all of a sudden it was like, I need to bump it up there.
Well, especially since the niche, you've refined it. I imagine you're getting sites out a lot faster than you were a few years ago. Win all around.
I do copy now. I don't do copy. I have a copywriter. Okay. So all of my projects, if I'm doing a custom website, I do their copy for them. And they literally get on a strategy call with me and the copywriter, so they know like that's a thing. And we go through everything that they want to do, what they want to accomplish, and he writes it, gives it to me. I do the design with my junior designer, and then we're launched within a month at all times.
I was just going to ask, what is the suite of your web packages? Like, what does that look like? So custom design, a lot of strategy, a lot of messaging help, copy. How far are you going into SEO and some of the other aspects of?
Not too much. I'll do the basics. So your heading structure is going to be correct. Your alt tags are going to be in there, but I'm not doing any kind of like ongoing things for SEO. Just kind of not my jam right now.
Well, I wonder too, I mean, the speaker and coaching industry, I guess somebody could go really far into that, but I would imagine a lot of them need more of just like a brochure style site. I don't want to frame it. I don't want to make it sound simple, but they may just want something that is going to represent them for the next, 2 or 3 years.
Yep. Because a lot of what they're doing is applying for speaking gigs, and then they need somewhere to send them. So it has their speaker reel, like their video of them talking. It has a podcast if they have it. It has like all of the things that they do, shows off their book. But yeah, very rarely do they need a shop functionality or anything else besides just very brochure. But some of them need a lot of things because they talk to a lot of different audiences, and then we break those off into different pages. So about 8 pages is kind of the average that I do. And then there's also things within the speaking industry that you should have a media page. So if someone does book you, there's a page that should be like a thank you page, and it's got their headshots ready for download. It's got their stage bios. It's got any kind of AV, like audio visual needs. Do they prefer a lavalier mic, a handheld mic? So I'm going through all of that with them and making those those pages as well. But yeah, it really is brochure when it gets down to it.
With these rate increases, was there any other factors that led you to increasing your rates other than just, a couple divine money meetings? Like did life change at any point to where you were like, I need to make more, or I'd like to make more, or we want to get that boat? Like, was there anything else that contributed to that, or was it just somebody saying like, you need to have your rates need to be way more than they are?
Yeah, someone multiple people telling you need to raise your rates is going to do it. But yeah, I mean, life stuff. Like when it comes to the work, like I have junior designer now, I have a copywriter, like I need to pay them. So that needs to like bump up. The value is going up. But I mean, life really hasn't changed all that much. I mean, I have a dog that eats like crazy, but I mean, I'd really like to have that boat paid off. Yeah. But other than that, it's really just me protecting my peace and wanting to like do really good work and not need to be doing 20 websites at a time. Like how you did 24 still to my, like, I still remember that story of yours. And I was like, I can't, like, in no way that would send me into a spiral.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't 24 like huge sites, but it was 24 projects. Some
if I have 24 emails, I'm stressed out. Like I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm talking to Megan after this, another pro member who is in the shoes that I was in at that point, where she's just overloaded right now. So we're going to dig into that. Like, the reality is, it's interesting that you've been able to stay at a sustainable, consistent pace, it sounds like. Have you had any waves? I mean, I would be shocked to think that you've never just had a month or two where just a ton all came in, or has it just not been the case?
Little waves, but not like big waves of like, I always know I'll be able to pay my bills. I'm never like stressed about that. I do have, maintenance. I do have all of those. The base is covered. There'll be waves like with more people. There's generally there's some of my more successful clients that they now coach other speakers, and everybody wants to be like them so that they see my name, or they'll say my name in like a training or something. And then all of a sudden they'll get 3 or 4, inquiries at the same exact time. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly who said my name somewhere. And so, but nothing like big, huge waves that have stressed me out at all. Yeah. Just that's consistent, cool. Honestly, is a pretty good word.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did you have any pushback when you raised your rates, or maybe not pushback, but did you see any changes with conversions or different clients when doubling your rates, now triple? I mean, that's no small feat.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was that like? Were you nervous about a big increase like that?
Yeah, I was super nervous, and I wasn't getting yeses to everybody, but I was getting a lot of yeses before that. And I think that's kind of like the thing, right? If you're getting 80, 90% yeses, then your rates are too low. Like, supply and demand type of thing. And so I get a few more no's now, but I'm also more confident in it because I was affirmed by people who are saying like, yes, that's a good rate for you. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm not like topping out and, pricing myself out of some people. And I'm starting to build off a smaller package as well for people. I had like a one page, like a landing page kind of offer that was, here's 4 different landing pages I've designed. Pick one. I'll go in and customize it real quick. will be done within a week. And this is great for people that needed a website yesterday, right? Or they're about to apply for new speaking gigs. And so I've played around with that. I don't really market it all that much, but it is always an offer there. It's kind of like that downsell. If somebody did come to me and say, I need my first speaker website, and I'm sitting there like, well, I'm like, how much do you charge per speech? And if they say a couple $100, then I'm like, then it doesn't make sense for you to work with me yet. Like, let's get the reps first, get the photos, get the proof of concept, then come back to me. But like, let's do this something on a smaller scale first. And I'm not afraid to tell somebody that. Okay,
perfect. I wanted to unpack your suite of services here now. So you have that kind of like low end, almost like website in a week landing page offer, which could be a initial like getting started piece, or it could be a downsell like you just outlined. That's awesome. You have a website audit on your website. Is that your main low end like entry offer, just for people to get to know you and feel a little confident with you?
Yeah. So that is the thing that is on my website, because I do a lot of training and workshops for speaking groups. And so I like to offer that as like a raffle of like, hey, if you're on the live call, I'm going to pick somebody, you're going to get a free audit. It's valued at this here. Like, you can see this. And if you didn't win, you also can purchase this if you really were interested. So it's not something that gets used a lot, but it's mainly there to position it as this free thing that I give away, because I do a lot of training for speaking
That's cool.
groups.
Gotcha. So you have your website audit, which is $150 right now, which is a perfect like lower end type of product. Like you said, it could be also something that could be a bit of a carrot, either a promotion or a freebie, a giveaway. That's awesome. You have your website in a week kind of service. That's more landing page, a little hidden. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. And then you have custom web design and maintenance. Is that right?
Yep. And the custom web design is actually broken up into two different packages in themselves. So it's like you have one speaking page, or, so it'll be like a 5-page brochure site is the one, or you can get like the other one, which is multiple pages for your speaking audiences. These are for like the authors, podcasters, and I'm building all of that in there. So there's two within custom, but yes, that's a correct breakdown.
Awesome. And I'm seeing here, well done, Kristen, your signature speaker site. I love that you named it. That's very cool. The signature speaker site investment starts at $74.99, paid over 3 months. Very clear, very transparent. Awesome.
Yep.
And then tons of bonuses with it. So you're doing 2 months of maintenance and support on you, includes some, that's great. Did you happen to listen to the episode I just released with Cammie, who is managing over 200?
Yes, I did.
She just reaffirmed how beneficial it is to give 1 to 2 months of free maintenance, just so clients see what you're doing and get a report.
And I was doing it for a year. So when I first started, I was giving a full year of hosting, because I was like, well, they just paid me at that point. I thought it was a lot of money. I'm like, they just paid me so much money. They're not going to want to pay me anymore. And now I'm finding that there were people that had slipped through the cracks, and because I was disorganized, so they were just getting free hosting. I had somebody that got free hosting for 2.5 years, and I just found it like recently. And I was like, hey, I was like, well, I'm like, consider that a gift from me. But however, like, I'm like, how like whenever you work with Wix and Squarespace, you kind of got to like pay that monthly thing. Yeah, you still got to do that.
How did that go over? Were they fine with paying?
Oh, he laughed. He was just like, oh, he's like, cool. All right. And then he did go for the basic option, like the cheapest option, which I kind of knew was coming because he went 2.5 years without paying. But like now I have a VA as well. And so that is her main job, is making sure all of those get cleaned up. And every time I launch, she's like scheduling out those emails. So, but yeah, used to do a year, would not recommend, because then after a year, they get kind of like used to the free thing. Yeah. But now in the past like 5 months, I think I've been doing only 2 months, and it's converted so much better. Awesome. And like I'm taking care of so many more websites.
2 months free. By the way, side note, for anyone who has ever experienced that to where you're like, shoot, I feel like a total fraud. I didn't realize they weren't paying for something. Every single one of us has been through that multiple times. When I sold in transit, I went through and I was like, oh my gosh, I have like 3 clients who haven't paid in like a year, and I didn't realize it. So yeah,
shout out my VA is paid for herself now because she found all of this. But I was like, well, And it wasn't just that one. Like there was a few that hadn't paid and everything, but what can you do?
Okay, I want to dive into your team too, but real quick on the pricing. So what stopped you, or have you thought about 1 month, or why 2 months versus like a 1 month or a 3 month kind of thing?
Mainly just because I want them to see it a couple times, and I just like two little touch points of, here's this report, and then here's this report after that. You can totally, compare the two and see how your website's doing and everything. I think a lot of times the first month is skewed as well. If I'm being completely honest with my clients, because you're like, everybody look at my website. You're sending it to your family. You're sending it to all these people. I think your traffic is skewed. So it's like,
good point.
Okay, so month 2 is actually what you should be basing things off of.
That's a really, really important point. Yeah. Gosh, that's awesome. Because clients may not realize that either, right? They may think, oh my gosh, this is getting...
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, what happened?
Yeah. Everyone has to do what happened, and you can kind of guide them through that. I love that. That's a genius idea. That makes total sense. I know a lot of web designers, a lot of pros are doing 3 months, which I guess 2 to 3 it could probably work out. But
quarterly's nice. That's a nice thought. Like
quarter, free quarter. 90 days on me. But to your point, I feel like after 90 days, that's the max I would do free. Because as you rightly said, people get used to getting a free service. And they're like, no, I don't want to pay for that.
Yeah, they're like, why? Why would I? I didn't explain it well enough.
Yeah. This is great, Kristen. You've got a really solid offer here. The investment of $7,500 over 3 months. But I like that you have bonuses, over $1,000 of bonuses included with the site. Website launch pack, training videos, plugin licenses, and then 2 months of maintenance and support, which is really cool.
Yeah. And if anyone is listening that doesn't have a launch pack, you have to do that. Like I can, so much of my business has come from people getting excited about their brand new site, me sending them Instagram and LinkedIn graphics of their new site, like full page, like looks of it, plus like a picture of like a nice headshot of them with like the website in front, like scrolling through video. Like they love that. And then I have here's a caption that you could put in on it. And in that caption is, this was done when I worked with Kristen at Crash Design Co. This is the thing. These are the things we talked about. So I'm already in there. And if they want to delete it, they can delete it. But most people don't. Most people want the easy button. They copy, they paste, I'm tagged.
I'm just going to ask you this live. Would you be down with sharing your launch pack in Pro? Like, would you want to do like a live training?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would love to dive in that, because I was going to ask you here what's in your launch pack, but it would be really cool to see that visually. So if you're interested, maybe this summer I could have you, do a special training in Pro, and we could, if you're open to just sharing your launch pack, because it is such a hidden gem. I mean, it's a hidden gem for web designers.
It really is. And it is like, that's why referrals come to me. Like every time I launch a new website, I just wait for the 24 hours and there's like another person in my inbox. That's
so awesome. So let's do it. I'll follow up with you to get you in here to do a live training, and we can look at that and have a training library in Pro. There's a lesson in my business course on creating a launch pack, but I don't think that's something that you could never get enough examples of how, because there's no right or wrong way to go about it. There's so many, and a lot of it may depend on your niche, of course. Like you may have, I don't know. Do you cater it towards speakers and coaches with anything in particular, or are you doing stuff that could work for, medical offices and stuff?
It could work for anybody. Yeah. I have like my emails all scripted out that I send like the moment someone's live. I went live this morning with somebody. I literally just copied and pasted it over, changed out the links. And then like they have all the things. I like sometimes personalize it because I'm not working with a ton of people, right? So like I can personalize a little bit of it, but it's really just like plug and play. And then I have a Canva template that I just go in, I record their screen or record their website and do all the things like print out the 3 or 4 graphics, attach it to the email and send it to them. And I follow up with them like a week later. And then a month later, they get their first report. And then 2 months later, they get their next report that says, hey, we need to do the launch or do
Genius. See how this all comes together. I can't wait to see that.
I love it.
Really excited. Really, really excited. So I imagine that may be something that, do you have team members who help you out with that? Or is that something that you do since you're more client facing with the Launchpad stuff?
So my VA admittedly doesn't like to do Canva, and that's totally fine. I've been doing it recently, but also I just hired her like 3 months ago. So I could have somebody else do it, but I just do it and send it over to them. I just know it's done when it is done. Like,
how long does it take for those?
For what? For
your launch packs to put those together?
I don't know, probably like 10, 15 minutes, if that.
Oh, wow. I was thinking like a couple hours, depending on.
Oh, no, because I have the template on Canva, and then I just use, a Google Chrome extension to do the full page. And then I just
Awesome. Okay. Super cool.
Sorry to the podcast users for just like making noises right there, but.
Oh, that's preferred. I always prefer. Yeah. Cause most people like, show something or wave their hands, but I prefer audio cues. Absolutely. Yep. Even better. So your team, Kristen, remind me, when we talked, I can't believe that was 4 years ago. When we talked then, what in the F? Where is the time going? So much beer has been drinking since then, the two of us.
So much hockey has been watched. So much.
You gotta, are you coming to WDP Con?
I'm not. I have already blown my budget on in-person events this year. I'm going to a huge conference for speakers. And so when it's like the week before or something like that. I was like,
we're going to have so much fun.
My extroverted, introverted self could not do that 2 weeks in a row. So next year.
Okay. Next year. Deal. I'm going to hold you to that because gosh, we're going to have some fun. Anywho, did you have any team members last year? Did you hire?
Oh gosh, no. This is all within the past year.
Wow.
I posted in a Facebook group of like, hey, I need a junior designer. Like someone's got to help me out here. And I had about 14 people reach out to me and send me their portfolio or their website, whatever. And there was like 3 people that I just like, all right, I'm into it. Like, I'm going to give them a small project. So I had like the same project that was coming up. I just paid each of them to do it. And I compared and I was like, I really like one of these girls. Like she's amazing. And what's great is she's in London. So I like wake up and stuff is done. It's so cool. But yeah, so I just white label her out as my junior designer. My clients know I have a junior designer, but she's running her own business, but she's white labeled through me for my projects and she's incredible. And so I have had her for about 7 months, I would say. It was almost a year now because it was last summer. And then I brought in a copywriter about 6 months ago because I had a client that really needed it and found him weirdly through Threads. I posted like, are there any copywriters that can see this? I like to do things in a week. Can you work fast? Love to reach out to you. And his first email, he was like, hey, I'm a brisket loving beer drinker in Texas. And I was like, hired.
Sold.
Like you instantly, you obviously know how to put a personality into words. And I was like, done, like hired him and haven't looked back since.
That's awesome.
Junior designer, copywriter. And then I have a VA as of 3 months ago.
So with the designer, what Facebook group, what was it like a tool specific group? Was it a web design group?
I think, man, I want to say it was like a women in web design group. I don't think it was like an Elementor group because I use Elementor.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think it was just a women in web design. And I said like, I wanted someone that was good in Elementor. And I was like, I use SiteGround as hosting. If there's any way you could like help me with that, like that would be great. So yeah, this girl just checked all the boxes.
Awesome. And then, so Threads for your copywriter. That's awesome. And then your VA, how did you end up finding the VA?
Yeah, I was in a business cohort this first quarter of the year and everybody had a VA but me. And they were like, all right, you need to talk to this person. And it's a VA agency outside of Madison, Wisconsin. I'm in Milwaukee. So I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll talk to this girl. And it was like instantly, she's like, we pair you with a VA. So we get to know your business and within a month you'll have one. So it's not this instant, like I'm not going online trying to find somebody, they're pairing me with somebody. And it was like, what's important to you? And mine was willing to embrace technology was really important. I was like, I don't want to call and text you. Like Slack has to be a thing. Like I can't keep up with these things and like have to be just, like you can work whenever you want. Like it was just like a big questionnaire that I filled out. And then I did an in-person interview or not in-person, a virtual interview. And then they matched me with somebody. So that's how I found.
Awesome. So it was almost I used Robert Half for this when I found a graphic designer years ago, like a headhunter kind of
Yeah,
job
so it's
placement.
agencies. So they find other VAs that want to come in, and like it's all under their agency. But yeah, like this girl works for other ones as well. She's got like 5 other clients, I think, and so they're all like through different ways. Like she found them through all different ways. But
does the agency bill you for her, or is she billing you directly through her?
The agency bills me.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
But that hourly rate, I'm sure, is more than, somebody on Fiverr or.
Yes, it is more expensive, but they like the agency has checked in with me twice. Like they do like semi-annual reviews with me, making sure it's all worth it. And then you can have a package of like 15 hours, I think is their lowest, up to whatever you want.
Gotcha. And I mean, it took a lot of headache and time out of for what you would have had to have done initially too.
And I was like on a Zoom with 3 people that were like, yes, this is the way to go. I'm so happy with like my person. And I was like, cool. Like that's easy.
That's a good reminder that the agency route for hiring is still a really quality route for all those reasons and more. Yeah, you'll pay a little bit more, but you save a lot of headache in the beginning and in the follow-up. And I feel like they already have a pool of like qualified people. Whereas if you hire from somebody from Upwork, so, it could go well, but it could also, you never know what you're going to get. Like stuff out there and VA and everything for a reason. So,
And she's like in Texas. So we're in the same time zone technically, but she's got kids and stuff. So she's like, I like to work at night. I'm like, cool. I don't care when you work. Like,
heck yeah. Is that so I'm assuming it's a national agency, right?
It's a national, so it's US based, and then it's specifically for women. So the mission of the founder is to have women who are specifically mothers employed in a way that like maybe they couldn't be otherwise because they have to, run around with schedules of kids and stuff like that. So
what's the agency?
It's called My VA Rocks.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they do like podcast too. Like I think they just opened up like My Podcast Rocks as well. So if you needed someone to like do your editing for that and everything, they're growing. It's really cool. The founder is also a speaker. She's done a TED Talk. So like we hit it off immediately, and then we were talking about musicals and everything. But
very cool. Well, I'll link that in the show notes. It's very top of mind just because there's somebody in our somewhat immediate family who is also a special needs parent. And as a special needs parent myself, I think sometimes like, how in the hell would we do it if I was working 9 to 5 in I don't know how it's done. So I'm wondering, I'm sure there are like even more so talking about niche, like even more so for parents and mothers in particular who want to work in the evenings, like special needs parents.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a part of it. So
yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that's something I have a hidden passion for that I could see expanding on eventually, but I do wonder.
And I would champion for them all day. It's been a wonderful experience.
That's awesome. Cool. Very cool. Shoot. I was going to ask you something. It's gone. It's completely gone. This derailed me in the best of ways because now I'm thinking about, the other special needs parents who need VA situations so they're not tied to a job like this. But no, this is really cool. So a lot has happened in the past year. It seems like things compounded. Is that fair in saying like you really built the foundation the first few years and then, I mean, how long have you been doing this total? Not even just for this niche, but how long have you been designing websites now?
So it'll be full-time in June. On June 1st would be full-time for 4 years. So still at kind of like a 3.5 mark, maybe a little bit more than that. And I was side hustling for a good 6 months before that.
Okay. So 5-ish altogether.
Almost at 5. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. That's impressive, Kristen.
Yeah.
I mean, the business you've created, does it feel, it's got to feel cool to be in this spot and within 5 years. Yeah,
it is really cool. And like, I get to do a lot of things now and people know me for what my business is and everything. And so it's been really fun. I honestly, like, I think this year specifically, 2025 has just been like fun for me. So that's like, it's wonderful.
That's really cool to hear. Awesome. Oh yeah, because a lot of people get to this stage that I've seen because I coach now in pro, and I do see a lot of web designers build their business and become an owner. And then not all the time, but it can get stressful at this point when there's a lot of growth and there's just a lot of different things going on. But I mean, you are such a great model of like staying consistent and sustainable and having a niche that you really enjoy working on, not, I mean, there's a ton of things you could do, but it seems like you've found a sweet spot with your services and not going too far into SEO or ongoing or marketing. I mean, you design awesome websites for speakers and coaches. You give them a launch pack. You get them on their maintenance plan. You're personable. You stay in touch. Am I missing anything?
Because like I just know where they're at and I know where they're from because I've been doing speaking myself lately. So it's like I just get to work with a lot of cool people. But I also like I don't know if I could have this great of a disposition if it wasn't for having that junior designer, because I am kind of getting out of the love for the design part of it. Like I just don't want to sit here and design websites all day. Like I now like have other passions that I want to do and pursue and stuff. And so being able to grow the business and then also get like the work done has been really, really helpful. Which is part of the reason why I rebranded, which is why we couldn't find our videos, because I now can use my government name again because I was using my maiden name when I first started this business.
Yeah. And to that point, I talk about this in my scaling course, which is it's a thought that's easily overlooked, but particularly in your situation, you have an opportunity for someone else to give somebody else an opportunity to be able to design sites who really wants to do that. Like, I don't know the junior VA where she's at, but I imagine she probably loves doing that. And a lot of designers, especially junior roles, they don't want to do the selling. They just want to design and just do a project. And it's really cool to be in a position to where like you have the opportunity to give an opportunity, and that's not the case for everybody. So I love that you're embracing that and releasing that so somebody else can have fun doing
and
that.
She's so good at what she does too. That's the thing, is like we started with me doing the homepage and then her doing the inside pages of websites. And we still kind of do that. We're actually right now we're in the first project where she's doing the whole thing. And then I'm going to go in and kind of like add my touches on it or kind of coach her through what I'd prefer things to be like. But yeah, like she's so good at like picking up my style, and she knows like I like bold, I like certain effects throughout the website. And so she's just been wonderful.
It just came back to me. I remember what I was going to ask you before. Elementor. You have been using Elementor from day one, right? Is that right?
From day one.
There's so many other tools now. There's a land grab for website builders. Wix Studio is starting to take off. Webflow, Show it, all these other platforms. What has kept you consistent without, nickel or shiny nickel syndrome, where you're like, oh, I want to try this, because that's another trap I see a lot of web designers fall into, where they're like, I'm going to try this, and then you end up having to like relearn tools, get your team to relearn tools. What has kept you staying with Elementor, staying with your tool stack? I
have tried other things, like weirdly switching from Elementor to Divi was so difficult to me. And I think it's just because like they're both nuances, but they kind of are similar at the same time. I don't know. But I loved Elementor because I'm just good at it. First of all, I'm grandfathered into like their cheapest license ever. And so it's like really hard to walk away from that. But I tried a Squarespace website because there was somebody in the area that I really wanted to work with and he wasn't willing to move. And I told him, I was like, I've never done this, but if you're willing to take a chance, like I'd love to do that. And he was like, yep. He's like, I trust you because he's seen my work. And he's like, I bet you'll figure it out. And I'm like, if not, I will refund all of your money. Like this is truly just a learning thing for me. And it ended up great. He loved it. It took me about twice as long as it would take me in Elementor. So like I have that skill, but I don't want to utilize it again. But I've also been playing in Go High Level. If you've heard of that, like it's more of making like a whole CRM and a SaaS for your client. And so I tried to play around with it. It is so difficult. There are things that make it so hard for a web designer. But I do have clients that have asked for it. So I'm like, I'm going to play around with it. So
yeah, Eric's using it for in transit as far as our like main client portal and all that stuff. But it is definitely, I mean, it is a robust, it's kind of an all-in-one type of thing. I don't know the builder or the website builder itself. I've seen it and it seems like it would be well suited for landing pages for folks who are doing that. But yeah, I can't imagine doing custom builds. I know there was a lawsuit with them in ClickFunnels. I wonder.
That makes sense because it's very similar.
Yeah, I think there was some proprietary stuff that ClickFunnels had trademarked or copywritten. And then I don't know.
We don't even know how to say niche, Josh.
Yeah. We're just simple Midwest folk. Hold on, let me find out. I wonder what the latest is on that. Gossip time, digital gossip.
Glad everyone's coming on the ride with us.
Yes, high level.
I hadn't even heard of this, but it just makes complete sense that it would exist.
This is breaking news. Actually, it's not breaking. I think this happened last year. Let's see. Let's see what the latest is. ClickFunnels alleged that Go High Level's funnel builder technology infringed on ClickFunnels patents, potentially aiming for strategic advantage in settlement negotiations, blah, 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 blah. Looks like it's all still going on. I don't know what the latest is. And I mean, any legal thing. I mean, we're seeing it in WordPress now too with WP Engine and Mullen Wild, man. So yeah, it looks like it's still going on from what I see. I'm not ChatGPT and I'm going old school and Googling. But anywho, yeah, I just wonder. I mean, it's just fascinating because there's just so many tools and so many options. I honestly feel bad for folks getting going now, just because I'm like, you really just need to like see what feels good to you. Like you mentioned, Elementor just felt good over Divi. I don't know if you've tried Divi 5. Divi 5 is a very...
I haven't tried Divi 5. I honestly, like, my clients don't care. Like, they just want it from me. And I say, like, this is how I do my best work. And they're like, cool. Okay. Sign me up. Like, they don't care. And then I shoot them a video. That's another part of my launch pack, though. That is the thing that takes longer time, is I shoot them a video of like, here's how to log in. Here's how to edit your stuff. And then I have like a full library for them to look at of like, need to add a new page? Here you go. I don't recommend them doing it, but try to figure it out, I guess. But for me, it's just my clients have always just been like, yeah, okay. I've had one that had Divi and she was like, can I add Divi on top of it? And I'm like, I really don't think that's going to work how you want it to work.
You could do the Divi builder, but I don't know how well it plays with Elementor. But
I got on a Zoom call with her and went into the back end of my own website and started moving stuff around and showed her like how easy it was for me to change things. She's like, oh, okay, that's fine. She's like, sign me up. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is more and more, because especially with Pro, just overseeing so many designers who are using even different builders and platforms, I've really landed on like, just choose the tool that you like. And as long as the functionality is there, you should be fine, whether it's a builder, WordPress, or like it's so funny because coming from the Divi world, I used to be like, oh, Elementor, who would do better than Divi? And now I'm like, I know tons of close friends and tons of pros who use Elementor and love it. I'm like, yeah, if it works, that's good, great. Like, do whatever you want. Yeah. So if somebody wants to use Squarespace or Wix Studio or Show It, I don't care. Whatever you like.
If any of my clients come to me and they're like, this is a deal breaker, I must use Wix Studio. Cool. Here's my friend Amanda. I already you're going to love her. Great. Go to her. Like, if that's your deal breaker and I can't get you out of that, I have people to send you to.
Yep. That's a great point. If you do, it is nice to build a network. And that's one wonderful thing about Pro. It's like if a client's absolutely dead set on Divi and you're not going to take that on, tons of Divi web designers you can refer somebody to.
Or like if someone's in an industry that I don't work with, I've posted in Pro, like, hey, I have this website. I'm like, I don't really understand what he's wanting, but this is what he sent me. I put it in Pro and somebody immediately was like, this is my jam. This is what I do. And I'm like, cool, here's his phone number. Like, yeah, like it's not for me.
Heck yeah. And by the way, I did just do a quick ChatGPT. As of we're recording this on March 27th, 25, there are no publicly available updates regarding the lawsuit. So
all right.
Imagine it was initiated in April 24. Interesting. So well over almost a year. A year. Yeah. So it's just interesting because you're getting a lot of builders and technologies that are looking. I mean, even Divi 5 is very comparable as far as the layout to Elementor in some ways, but also I mean, Wix Studio, actually, I was playing around with that. It actually functions a lot like Divi 5, like with the way the
I've been wanting to dive into Wix Studio, but
it is interesting. I do. Yeah. Wix Studio is fascinating because it's very different than Wix, and it is gaining traction. And I'm keeping an eye on it over the next year to 2 here, because I do think they're going to, I think it's going to blow up in some ways, but I mean, WordPress is also still almost half the internet. So we're safe as WordPress designers for quite a long time as well. And I think the builders are really going to dictate like how WordPress continues on. I really think it's like, I almost view Divi, Elementor, Breakdance, Bricks as their own like platforms. And it's just WordPress is just the common factor.
Yeah. And we'll technically Show It is that as well. Show It's technically built on WordPress as well. They just hide
I
it
didn't
a
know
little
that.
more. So if you wanted like a blog on your Show It site, you have to like set it up on a WordPress site exactly how we would. And then like you connect it. So it's technically built on WordPress, which is really funny because there's always like haters on social media of like, use this instead of the other one. And it's like, we're all kind of using the same tool, by the way.
Is it self-hosted though, or can you use a Show It site on like SiteGround?
I believe it's self-hosted.
Interesting.
When I started designing websites, I used Show It just because like that's what I was seeing on TikTok and everything. And I really liked the builder, but I thought it's really easy to make a messy website and like not have things aligned. And that bothers me. So I got out of it pretty quickly.
Interesting. So Show It.
And I might be saying this wrong because again, this was like 4 years ago that I had been looking at this, but it was like, here's
the download from what I discovered. Show It is not built on WordPress, but it does integrate with WordPress for blogging.
There it is. Okay.
So you nailed that. Show It is a drag and drop website builder, blah, 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 without code, how it connects to WordPress. The pages. So I imagine like most of the main pages are built and managed on Show It. Blog posts specifically are WordPress. So somehow Show It manages the WordPress hosting on your behalf. So that's what's kind of interesting. It's like if you use it for blogging or maybe different post types, then it's hosted separately. How that connects to the site, I'm not sure. That's interesting.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure.
I haven't used it in like 4 years. But I remember it was fun because it was kind of like building a little digital scrapbook because it's truly drag and drop.
Somebody knows listening right now and they're probably like, God, bring me up.
I know someone's screaming. I just know it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, same here. But there's just so many different tools. So that's cool. You definitely seem like a person who's like, it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No,
it's working well. You know it. I know how to like make my style on it, and I know how to do that easily. And I like that I can like copy and paste from one website to another like really, really easily. I'm not downloading like a template, uploading it. It's like just copy from one website to the other. And I will say a key component to web designers and business owners, entrepreneurs who are in this realm that we're in web design and marketing and entrepreneurship, like one of the commonalities to people making it and staying sustainable is they're not dabblers. It's very hard to get them to move from, even if it's a dated thing. Like I still use 17 hats for all my invoicing and proposals and contracts, and it's dated in some ways, but the functionality is there. It's never let me down. I've never had an issue with it at all.
That's like I haven't touched Dubsado since I set it up. Like I truly like I'll go in and like edit some things and my proposals and all that, but like it was set up 4 years ago. It is set up the same exact way. All of the automations are the same. Like I'm not touching it. Yeah, if it's not broke. I have to ask this. This is shameless self-promotion, but you mentioned, having Pro as a resource for you with partners and stuff. What made you? I was so excited when you joined Pro. I was like, "Oh, Kristen's here!" Yes. I know. I got that video immediately. I was like, "Hey." Yeah, I was like, "Kristen's here. What's up?" What made you join Pro? Well, first of all, like, how could I not? Like, I mean, you put together such a good community, and it was more of like the courses, but the main thing was the master classes that you were hosting. And there was like, you had Jason Gracia, and we've talked about this. I told you, I was like, I had been following him. I was like, really, like, I admired what he did for coaches and like how he built his whole system. And that was like the month that I joined was Jason Gracia's like masterclass. And I was like, I need to be in on that call. And that the value I got from that was like worth it to stay in here. Now I'm not in like the coaching tier because I don't jump in there enough to justify it, but I am in the community tier now. But I just moved down and I was just kind of like, I just need to linger for a little bit because I am in, like I said, I was in a business cohort. I'm in another like entrepreneurship group. I was like, this is just a lot. Like I just need to pare down, but I'm not going to leave Pro. That would be crazy. Well, that's amazing. And that's a great use case as far as why I opened up the tiers too, that exact thing. Cause it's been so helpful. Oh, that's amazing. And I did see people leaving who were just like, I'm just not able to use it a lot right now. So I'm out, but I wanted to make it so like, you don't need to be out completely. Yeah. Like, I have only so much capacity and time for my coaching. So like, if you want to use it, awesome. But
in your case, like I love that you're still there and I can still tag you and you can jump in when you want it and you can come to the event. Hoping this year we got a month. I'm going to see if I can persuade you to come out because Jason's going to be there and Jason is sharing live.
We're going to tell me this.
Hold on. Yeah, we're going to do a mock-up call. There's 5 speakers. Jason and I'm going to be his lead, and we're going to do a mock-up call, and he's going to walk us through his sales process live. He's made it for $2 million in 5 years with his stuff. So I'll send you some details, Kristen.
You can keep trying.
We have 7 tickets, and there's going to be a lot of beer, and it's going to be a blast. We're going to a baseball game together.
Start to think things.
We're all going to a baseball game on Friday night. It's all covered. I got it all covered. Saturday is the workshop. Are you familiar with Jay Klaus? Do you know him at all? He's a creator of science. He's just one of the best creators today in my mind.
So.
He's going to be talking about email and newsletters. I
went to high school with one of those, but I'm definitely not this guy.
Not that Jay Klaus. He's in Ohio, but Shannon Mattern speaking. Michelle Bermanier is going to be speaking. It's going to be freaking awesome. So anywho, all right, I'll follow up with you after. See if we can get you there. But I really appreciate you sharing that. I was kind of curious. So that's awesome.
And it just like having the courses like on demand was really helpful because like I bet you can go in and see my activity of there. It's like just jumping into a random lesson coming out of it. But like I just picking what I need at the time, and that's what makes Pro so great. It's like I have it all at my disposal, right? Like I bought maintenance back before the community. So I was like, I bought the maintenance course because that was like my like first introduction to like, hey Josh, my name's Kristen. and then it kind of, has gone to this 4 years later.
And that is what's interesting. I guess it depends like the course creation world. And do you serve course creators in your niche or is that a different?
A lot of them just want to like link to their stuff. So they'll put it on like Kajabi or whatever. And they just like want a link. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll make a sales page for it. And then you can link it out. But I've had one client want to host her courses on her website. So, and I was willing to do anything. And that was like in the early days. And I was like, yep, I'll do anything. Like, I just want to make you happy. So not much posting online on their site.
I just asked because there's such a shift in courses online now compared to even when we talked 4 years ago for the show. Like, I think if you were to have like a couple signature courses, you can get by with just having courses. But like in my case with the suite of courses and now additional trainings, it's like there's no other model that would work than just having everything as a, pick and choose subscription. Because I do the same thing that you do. I'm in Jay Klaus. I'm in his community, the lab, and a lot of courses, a lot of posts, a lot of resources. It's kind of like more of a creator's version of Web Designer Pro. And I do the same thing. I just like pick and choose lessons on certain courses sometimes, or pop in a post that I think is like, oh yeah, I do want to get in on this. So yeah, it's awesome. Very cool, Kristen. Well, trying to think if there's any, this has been really cool. It's been awesome catching up. I do have one final question for you, but this has been a really great overview of what you've done. Again, just to reiterate, like I'm so impressed by what you've created, but also I just wanted to highlight what you're up to because you are just such a good example of staying consistent, sustainable. You're out on the lake more, having a good time, had your, funnest year to date so far, which is easily. Like that. What a win. Like apart from, tripling rates is really cool, but
it certainly helps.
Having fun is really, really, really cool.
And having fun for me might not be the same as for everyone else. Cause like this is kind of going into what I've been doing besides the design part is I'm speaking on stages now. Like I'm also a co-author of a book. I do a lot of podcast guesting. Like I've got a lot of like different things that I'm doing that aren't just the web design, but it all funnels it into the web design.
Are you going to be a podcast host? Because that was a perfect segue. Because I was going to give you the platform to share a little bit about your passion projects coming to life now.
No, I am not a podcast host, but I will do a little self-plug for what I am doing. When it comes to my speaking is I've been doing more of like sharing my story and how I got to where I am right now. And I shared my story. Actually, when I was on your podcast the first time was the first time I told somebody I didn't know my actual story. And so like why I had started my business and all of that. Well, now that has been published, I've been on stages saying that, and it's all like going into this visibility thing that I'm kind of like jumping into, and it's been really fun. And so I'm doing like more like personal brand, but telling my story. And so like what I wanted to share with everybody was I have a video of how a web designer can tell their story and find clients that's not through being salesy, and it's through being on the stage. And so I talk about why I became a web designer, what really changed in my life that turned me into this. And then I talk about like who I get to work with and how amazing it is. And then people hear that and they like get brought in. They're like, I want to be a part of that as well. So like, that's what I've been doing. It's a lot more speaking and not just into this microphone, but more on an actual stage with lights on me.
Very cool. We'll make sure we have that video linked in the show notes for this one. Yeah, because I mean, story. I think story in the age of AI and everything else going on, like real personal, lived experience stories are more important than ever to get. It's a great reminder. Like I've got some stories I need to, and sometimes we tell stories 5 years ago and we forget. Like the people we just met who are in our zone are new leads and clients now. They don't know that from 5 years ago. So like keep on repeating the story, get it out there. That's a great reminder.
And that's for everything too. A testimonial you got 5 years ago is still a testimonial you can share today. Like even if you shared it 5 years ago, you still can, still should be posting those things. Follow up with them, see if it's still, going well. And so that's what a lot of my business right now is just a lot of talking to people. And it's been fun.
Oh, that's amazing, Kristen. We'll have all this linked in the show notes. Last question for you real quick. How is the beer in Wisconsin? Are we talking like, are you a Pilsner gal, IPAs?
I am anything but an IPA person, but like it's Wisconsin. And if you come to Wisconsin, Josh, I will buy you a Spotted Cow. If you don't know about the legacy of Spotted Cow, it is only sold in Wisconsin. It is brewed in the state. You cannot, a store cannot legally sell it outside of state lines. And it's just a really good, it's like a cream ale, but it's kind of on the lighter side. But I do still like to just go back to my roots and drink a nice light beer, a nice light lager. But yeah, I have really poor taste. I think when it comes to beer, I just
that's all right. There is no poor taste in my mind. I would love to take you up on that. Absolutely. I
was just the most boring person in a brewery last week. Like, this is all I'm going to say. Like, there were options everywhere. And I'm like, what's your closest thing to a Miller Lite, please?
I was just going to ask, because Miller Lite is me and my wife's, that's our go-to. Like the past couple years, it's just like we just gravitate towards Miller Lite, and that's just where
When you come to Wisconsin, you can take the tour of the brewery. There's like 400 steps in it. They tell you the whole thing. But yeah, so I think it's kind of like Coors in Colorado. It doesn't taste. There's only one place it can taste the best, and that is like where it was brewed. And so I think Wisconsin Miller Lite tastes better than other Miller Lites.
Is that where it originated from?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. The brewery's right downtown Milwaukee.
Oh, my wife and I are definitely. I'm going to relay that immediately, because that's definitely our go-to. So awesome. Well, when I get you to come to our event here next month, first round on me, and then we'll go.
Okay, perfect.
Actually, literally it is, because dinner is covered and everyone gets a drink if they want one. So it is literally covered. So, I mean, I'm laying it on. Everyone is hearing my sales.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. I don't know if we'll get to. I know you have a lot going on, but
we'll see.
This was awesome, Kristen. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you as always. And that round 3, definitely. Yeah. And then
sooner than the next 4 years. How about that?
Yeah, definitely within 4 years. And I can't wait to have you in Pro to do a look at your launch pack. So we'll make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Keep it up.
Yes. I will talk to you soon, and everybody else.
Thanks, Kristen. I mean, if you were taking notes on this one, show me a screenshot of your notebook, because this was a bit of a master class in how to thrive in 5 years as a web designer. Kristen, again, has done so many things right. So I just want to publicly say thank you to Kristen for being so open and transparent with everything that's working for her. Again, we talked about a lot of resources that are going to be available and linked up over at the show notes page for this one. That will be at joshhall.co/375. And again, if you are not yet sending out website launch packs, this is a lesson that's included in my business course. But if you would like to see exactly how Kristen is doing it, the training has not yet been commenced inside of Web Designer Pro, but Kristen is going to be doing a live training inside of Web Designer Pro this summer in 2025, showing all the ins and outs of her website launch packs. We do guest trainings almost every month in Pro, so it's just another reason to jump on in to this incredible community that is waiting for you. So go to webdesignerpro.com, join us today. You can join the community level to get access to the monthly trainings and to meet Kristen. She's a member right now, and she's just a total pro. She's truly a web designer pro. So I can't wait to see you in there. And again, I can't wait to hear what you pulled away from this one. Leave us a comment at joshhall.co/375, and I will see you friends on the next one. More doozies ahead.